Hello, Doug here. Today we're going to talk about the Nitroplanes F4U Corsair and putting flaps on it. So if that's something you're planning on doing in the future, hopefully this video will make it that much easier and answer any questions you may have for the installation. So let's go ahead and do that. Firstly, we have the wing off. And this airplane itself, I already started on one side. This airplane has so many scale features, it just, adding flaps to it, it just adds so much more to the realism of it. There's other things that I've added to it already. I've added the scale exhaust, and then actually this airplane is a real F4, there's a real F4U4 of this actual aircraft that is based out of Kansas. It is a four-bladed, so I also added the F4U scoop on the front because the cowl is actually a wrong cowl for an F4U4. It's an F4U1 cowl because the F4U4 actually had the chin scoop on it. So I added that also. And the other thing was I couldn't stand looking at the pink motor sticking out the front, which detracted away from the realism of the airplane itself. So, an F4U1 actually had the three-bladed prop with just the round cowl, and F4U4 had the chin scoop also. So, we're just adding to the realism, and that leads into putting flaps on it, which that much more adds to the realism. So, what you want to do with putting the flaps on, I'm going to illustrate on this side. This line right here. You want to cut right along this line, all the way over to your aileron. On this side, where you want to cut, is follow this line in. You can't see it from this side of the wing, but just follow this line in. That's where you're cut at the end of the wing, and then follow that line all the way down out to the aileron. I've already done that on this side of the wing, and this is how it turns out. I'll illustrate how everything works. So I've taken and cut that out already. And here, this is the secret right here. This was in one whole piece. Hang on. I'll show you how it came off the wing. So, this was all one whole piece. What we're going to do is show you how to cut and install the flaps. Then we'll do, later on, we'll do the actual hookup with the servos and electronics and whatnot. We'll do a demonstration of how they actually work. And then, hopefully, if all goes well, winter's coming though, we'll do a flight review with the flaps. Okay, so this section has been cut off the wing. I've already gone ahead and prepared it. I started doing this, then I started thinking maybe people would want to know how to do this, so then I'm going back a little ways now, and going back and filming it. Now what I did is, once these are cut off, see, this is the section that you want to take and bevel. This is the part right here. You want to cut part of this off and bevel this. So that's been cut and beveled and then hinged. Okay. Now the measurements on these, this one seems to be right around, let's see here. It looks like it's about, wow, let's go from this way. Let's do this right. So, this section is about, if I can get that, it looks like it's about 5¼ inches long. That's the outer section. 3, 4. It's about 5¼ inches long, roughly. That's the section that came out of here. In the center section, that right there is roughly, leading edge, it's about 2 3/8. It's about 2 3/8 long there, and on the end, it's the other part of the wing. It looks like it's about 2 7/8. That section. Then the inner part, which goes in here, that's this. The measurements on that are roughly, let's take a look. We're just shy of 5 inches. I would say it's 5 inches, and that's 5 inches both front and back. So this is about 5. This, like I said, it's about 2 7/8 on the outside, and 2 3/8 towards the core of the wing right in here. And then I give you the dimensions on this one also. Like I said, this one here is about 5 1/8 by 5 1/4. Now the trick to getting all this to work is basically a sheet of styrene right here. So that's what I used, and what you do is you cut these right here. It's actually about 1 9/16 square and 1 9/16 square. Rounded the edges. You cut it like a biscuit for joining furniture. You'll slot the center one, insert it, both sides, glue them in. Then from there, this section is slotted. Do not glue this into there. You'll see when everything moves, it has to slide on both sides. This is glued into here, this is glued into here. So this glued, this glued. These sections out here have to slide on there. So that has a slot, and it has to make sure that your distance down from where this fits into the side of your flap, that slot is exactly the same as where this slot is. You don't want it too high or too low, where your flaps are going to line up odd. One's going to be high, one's going to be low. Okay, so now all these, so I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. Let's see here. Okay, so now that slides together. I'll grab this one and install it. And slide it on there. Okay, so now everything is all together, and you have See how this is going to slide like that in there, and this one's going to slide? Okay. Now, I already have it hinged. So they're all hinged. Like I said, about a quarter of an inch down. Measure about a quarter of an inch down from the top to where this is beveled. This is about a quarter of an inch thick right here. See if I can get a good contrast here. Quarter of an inch thick right here. And then bevel this all the way. Bevel it, bevel it, bevel it, so that it can, when the hinge moves, we have room for it to move. Now we're going to, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to install this. I already have the slats cut in it, all the way down. I'm going to install this onto the wing. Okay, so that's going on there, that's going on there. We'll plug that in, slide it all the way down. We're not going to glue it yet, so right now I'm just going to demonstrate it. We'll go through the gluing and putting the control horn on and setting up the servos later. Right now I'm just going to demonstrate how it works. You may have to take a little bit off of the end here so that it doesn't bind when the flaps come up. Okay, so everything looks lined up. Now I'll demonstrate how when the flaps move, how everything works. So you'll have a control horn. Now you can mount the servo either in this area with a control horn, or you can put the servo out here. You'll have to make a recess and mount the servo in there yourself. You can put a control horn here if you want, or here. And I'll show you how this works now. Here's your flaps. This is how everything's going to work. So that's flaps all the way up. Let's get this aileron lined up. Okay. So yeah, this is how the flaps are going to work. See, so this just dovetails open, and this one here will move slightly also. That's why you don't want to glue that styrene into this one. Just cut a slot in there and cut a slot in this one, and it just slides. So then when the wing, when your flap moves, the whole thing can move. Like I said, I don't have the hinges glued in, but that's how everything's going to work. And I think that should be enough deflection to work for the flaps. Let's take a look, see what it looks like. Okay, so that's, hang on, that's flaps will be in the up position, that's the flaps be in the down position. Let's turn it over and we can see from underneath. Now remember, you have to bevel. You have to cut this section out of there. This is the section that I cut out of there. You cut that out of there to bevel it. And this is your flaps from underneath. How they're going to work. Like I said, right now I do not have the control horn hooked up, but this is just a demonstration as to how the flaps are going to work. Okay, we'll continue with the video. So get everything glued in, and the control horn's on and servo's in. Now I'm thinking I may want to mount the servo in this area, but I from what I've found, there seems to be, well, it's all personal preference. You can mount the servo here and have the control horn here, or mount a servo here. I have a control horn on this one. But anyways, this is how the flaps are going to work. Once I get everything all mounted, the servos, control horns, have the wing on the airplane, and get all that mounted up or whatever, we'll do a complete demonstration as to how they work. And then, like I said, if everything goes well, weather-wise, we'll do a flight with it and see just how it flies with the flaps. Oh, I did take this section off, this covering off the other side, because I'm going to have to route the wiring for the servo for the flaps either on this side or this side. So I'll have to route the wiring through there anyways. That's why I took that off. The servos that I'm using, you can use whatever you want. I'm going to be using, actually it's a, what do we got here? And those are the HS65 HBs. But that's what I'm going to be using for a servo. Okay, we'll continue with this once I get everything mounted up. Hopefully this will help you. Alright, and we're back, and again dealing with the flaps here. I've taken the liberty of moving ahead, and I've finished the wing on this side. Last time I was showing you how to hinge the side. I've already glued the flap back in and hinged it. I've mounted the servo in this area. I've installed the control horn and the linkage, and then also covered the wiring and the servo after I've mounted it with like a monocoat trim tape for a nice clean installation. I've already tried it, seems to work. Now I've already gone ahead also and I've done the other side of the wing. Same measurements for cutting the flaps. Same measurements. I've already hinged it the same way as what I told you before. Here's where you can see where I've recessed the area to mount the servo. I've mounted the control horn and the linkage. Run my wiring down here. It's going to follow the other wiring. This is recessed. It comes out on the other side. Now, one thing I like doing is color coding, because it's so much easier to tell what needs to plug into what. I color coded the plugins on the airplane, and I color coded the ones on the wing. What you're going to need for this to work, there's one, there's the other. What you're going to need for this to work is one of these. This is a Y harness. It's a servo reverser. You need to have a reverser simply because when the flaps move, you need both servos to move back or forward and back at the same time. If you just plug it into a normal Y harness, this servo is going to go that direction, this servo is going to go this direction. You need both this servo when you hit the switch for your flaps to go back when this one goes back, or forward when this one goes forward, and that reverser will make it possible. Otherwise, your servos are going to act like servos for an aileron, where one goes forward, one goes back, and vice versa. So, and again, servo reverser is not very expensive. You can pick them up at just about any local hobby shop. They should have them. Great tool. I'm going to go ahead and finish up with the mounting of this and finishing that up. We will hook up all the electronics, mount the wing on the plane, and see how everything works. Okay, back again. I know I said I was going to mount the wing on the plane. I decided to, prior to mounting the wing on the plane, I was going to try the flaps out before I go through the trouble of mounting everything up and plugging everything in. Now I am using a DX7 transmitter. I'm going to put the flaps on my idle up switch, and let's see how everything works. So there's the flaps. Now you can adjust the throw where you can get more or less throw. Right now I just have it hooked to the outer hole, so, and I can also adjust it here on my radio the throw. So demonstration purposes only. Everything seems to work quite well. Okay, so let's mount it up. Alright, we're back again. This time we have the wing installed on the plane, and let's check and see how everything works. Okay, flaps up, flaps down, flaps up, flaps down. Okay. Well, like I said, you can adjust the flaps now. I don't have the throw completely adjusted. I'm going to test fly it with the flaps the way they are. But now we have working flaps. And there's our, as scale as I can get it so far, F4U Corsair. Actually F4U Corsair. There you have it. Hopefully this video is beneficial to you if you decide to tackle a project like this. Again, thanks for watching.